Hello and welcome. I'm Brossard, and here's what happened this week. President Tsai received an award from a conservative think tank while transiting through New York City on her way to Latin America. The Hudson Institute presented Tsai with the Global Leadership Award on Thursday night. Past recipients include late former Japanese Prime Minister Abe Shinzo and media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Tsai is in New York until Saturday, but not everyone is pleased to see her there. Hundreds of pro-China protesters turned out in Manhattan to voice their disapproval after she arrived in the United States on Wednesday. Jaime Ocon was there.
Demonstrators prepare Chinese flags and signs in New York, where they are protesting a visit by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen to the city. China has objected to the U.S. visit. Beijing says Taiwan is part of its territory and labels the country's leaders as separatists and attempts to squeeze Taiwan out of the world stage. Taiwan, a democratic country, says it has every right to connect with the world. With just a few minutes before Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen lands in New York City and makes her way into downtown, hundreds of protesters have come out and holding signs saying that Tsai Ing-wen is a sinner, signs supporting the One China policy and a peaceful reunification of Taiwan. However, all of them are out here in opposition of Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen. But on the other side of the street, a smaller demonstration supporting Tsai.
They want to make Taiwan as part of China, but Taiwan is Taiwan, China is China. That's two different countries.
This is Tsai's first visit to the U.S. since 2019. Since then, Beijing has upped threats to take Taiwan by force and has been ramping up military pressure on the nation, including increasingly sending military ships and planes near the island. The tensions across the Taiwan Strait show no sign of abating, and this landmark trip from Taiwan's president has brought this friction onto the streets of New York. Howard Zhang and Jaime Ocon in New York City for TaiwanPlus.
For more of our coverage on Tsai's trip to the Americas, check out TaiwanPlus.com or download the TaiwanPlus app. Meanwhile, former Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou took a historic trip to China as the first current or former president ever to visit the country. On Thursday, Ma met with the head of the Beijing agency that deals with relations with Taiwan. He and Taiwan Affairs Office Chair Song Tao reaffirmed support for the 1992 consensus. That's an unwritten agreement between Ma's opposition Kuomintang and China. It says the two sides agree that there's only one China, but they can differ in what that means. Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party has never acknowledged this agreement, which has contributed to tensions with Beijing.
有了九二共识呢，两岸才能各自争议共创双赢。很遗憾的是呢，这2年来，两岸因为政治纷扰与疫情的因素呢，两岸人民的敌意上升，让我们非常感到忧心。在坚持九二共识。 反对台独的政治基础上，推动两岸关系和平发展。
At the beginning of the week, Honduras officially announced the end to diplomatic ties with Taiwan after switching recognition to China. Taiwan's foreign ministry later confirmed the news. Bing Wong explains.
Making it official. The foreign ministers of Honduras and China met in Beijing to formalize diplomatic ties between the countries. This comes more than a week after Honduran President Xiomara Castro declared her intentions to do so on social media. Prior to this, Honduras had diplomatic relations with Taiwan for over 80 years. The governments in Beijing and Taipei each claim to represent all of China, and neither allows for international recognition of the other. The government in Taipei has responded by requesting Honduras to close its embassy in Taiwan. The flagpole that once held Honduras' flag is now gone.
为了维护国家主权和尊严，决定自即日起终止和洪都拉斯共和国的外交关系，全面停止双边合作计划，撤离大使馆、驻三浦总领事馆、技术团及电力团等相关人员。
Foreign Minister Joseph Wu also said that before severing ties, Castro's government demanded Taiwan build a hospital, a dam, and to release Honduras from their debt to Taiwan, a move Taipei believes has ulterior motives.
那我想直接给钱的这种方式，这个就是有点像是贿赂。那我想以2次红方跟我们提出来要盖医院，却有2个截然不同的这个价格的这种方式，感觉上他们是要钱。 而不是要医院。
In the video address, Taiwan President Tsai accused China of bribing Honduras to decrease Taipei's and increase Beijing's influence in the region.
我们不会和中国进行无意义的金钱外交竞逐。过去几年，中国不断利用各种方式打压台湾的国际参与，升高对我们的军事侵扰，冲击区域的和平稳定。
President Tsai reassured the public that Taiwan would continue to build unofficial relations with friendly countries.
台湾人民已经向世界证明，我们从不因威胁而退缩。台湾和友邦以及理念相近国家的合作与连结，共同促进国际福祉与安全的努力，只会增加，不会减少。
The announcement would leave Taiwan with just 13 diplomatic allies. The majority of those are Honduras' neighbors in Central America and the Caribbean. There is concern that Paraguay, Taiwan's last South American ally, may also break diplomatic relations if the opposition party wins the presidency next month. While the loss of another country may hurt Taipei, there's been an increasing number of European and American delegations over the past few years. And as Taiwan works to increase trade relations with these countries, regardless of bilateral ties, it is hoped this will ease the sting. Patrick Chen and Bing Wang in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The largest Czech delegation ever to visit Taiwan was in the country this week. They signed several agreements with local officials on the final day of the trip, led by the Czech parliamentary speaker. Both countries also vowed to deepen their cooperation based on their shared values of freedom and democracy. Louise Watt reports.
A boost for Taiwan after the loss of one of its diplomatic allies to China. A visit from a European country that wants to deepen its friendship with the semiconductor giant. The Czech Republic signed a slew of memoranda of understanding on cooperation in various fields, including museums, biotechnology, and supply chain resilience. The signings came at the end of a 5-day trip by a 160-strong Czech delegation of mostly business people. It's been led by the Speaker of the lower chamber of the Czech Parliament, who addressed Taiwan's legislature and told members they could count on Czech support.
A já bych na tomto místě, vážené kolegyně, vážení kolegové, milí tajvanský lidé, vás chtěla ubezpečit, že jsme s vámi už nyní a budeme s vámi i nadále, za všech okolností. Protože vy jste s námi, my jsme s vámi.
But when asked what concrete measures Prague could take to help Taiwan, the Czech parliamentarian was vague.
Co se týče celkového počtu podepsaných memorand, které dnes nebo v tuto chvíli je kolem 11 a možná budou přibývat ještě další, byť jsou v různých oblastech, včetně těch ekonomických, tak přesně vybudovávání těchto vazeb je jedna z těch klíčových věcí, která nám pomáhá držet tu spolupráci takhle blízko a těžit z ní ve všech oblastech, včetně té, o které hovoříte, tedy té politické.
Like many countries, the Czech Republic doesn't have official relations with Taipei, but Beijing. That's not stopping it from deepening non-diplomatic ties, despite objections from Beijing, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory. But analysts say there's little economic pressure Beijing can use against Prague.
It's really important to highlight that the total value of Taiwanese FDI stockpile in Czechia exceeds that of China by several counts. So the relations between Czechia and China are quite weak.
The visit by the Czech delegation has been a relief for Taiwan after the weekend loss of Honduras, a decades-long ally poached by China. The loss of Honduras leaves Taiwan with just 13 small nations that officially recognize it. But visits like this one show how its unofficial partnerships are blooming. Taiwan's most important and unofficial ally, the United States, is getting visits from President Tsai this week and next, as she travels to and from Taiwan's allies, Belize and Guatemala. Eastern Europe's growing links with Taiwan are partly because of its own history of authoritarianism. And as Speaker Adamova told Taiwanese lawmakers, the Czech Republic is fewer than 400 kilometers from Ukraine, now invaded by Russia. As Taiwan deals with military and diplomatic pressure from its own huge neighbor, China, officials here are hoping they can count on these growing friendships with other democracies should they need help in the future. Patrick Chen and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Donald Trump has become the first former United States president to face criminal charges after a grand jury voted to indict him. Louise Watt has this story as well.
A historic headline that observers are saying will lead to the most politically charged trial in American history. Donald Trump is making another run for the White House, but now with a unique label to his name. The first former US president to face criminal charges. The indictment comes after years of investigations into Trump's dealings. The specific charges have not yet been publicly revealed, but a probe has centered on payments made during the 2016 presidential election, which Trump won, to silence claims of a sexual encounter with Stormy Daniels, a porn star.
Trump will be given the opportunity to appear in court. He's not going to be arrested. Now, he will be booked, which means he'll be fingerprinted, he'll have his mugshot taken, but he's certainly not going to be placed in handcuffs.
Trump denies any wrongdoing and says he's the victim of a partisan witch hunt. In a statement, he said, "This is political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history." Trump has warned of violence if he is charged, raising fears of a repeat of scenes in 2021 when his supporters stormed Congress in the wake of his election defeat. Trump's successor, President Joe Biden, hasn't commented. But outside the White House, reaction to the indictment was mixed.
Donald Trump, I think it's the best thing that can happen in the world. Once he's gone, the world's safe.
It's a political witch hunt.
Supporters of the former president gathered outside his Palm Beach, Florida property to show they're standing by him. Donald Trump was known as one of America's most divisive presidents. Now his unprecedented prosecution will mean the US has to brace for more turmoil ahead of the next presidential election in 2024. Alex Chen and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
A safari park in northern Taiwan admitted a baboon that went famous online had escaped from the facility. The animal's eventual shooting death kicked up a media storm and resulted in an inspection into Liufu Village's operations. The park says it will make improvements and punish one of its managers. The animal had been on the loose in Taiwan for over 2 weeks. It was shot and killed by a hunter on Monday. The primate's death sparked a public uproar. However, the hunter said he had permission from local officials to shoot the animal. Taiwanese singer Chou had the best-selling album in the world last year. Chou's album Greatest Works of Art outsold artists like Taylor Swift and BTS. It topped the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry's Global Album Sales Chart for 2022. The IFPI is an international organization that represents the interests of the global recording industry. Chou became the first Mandopop singer to ever reach the #1 spot on its sales chart. Thank you for watching. Here's what happened. I'm Brossard. Take care and see you next week.